Good morning. You're live. I am running just a smidge late. Live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. I just have to fix that a little bit. Where are we over there? Didn't really do anything to it. Hey guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Trying something just a little bit different. It's probably the last weekend I'm going to get outside because it's starting to get steamy. I'm trying to play with the light a little bit better. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. How is everybody? Who's here for me this morning? Hey, Sandy. I'm running late, you guys. I apologize. Got some over on YouTube. Awesome. Okay. So since I am running a little bit late, I'll keep the babbling to a minimum over here. So good morning. Today we have I don't know if you saw my Facebook post. If you're on YouTube, you probably, or you may or may not have, I don't know. But there's this crazy side plank with this amazing hamstring stretch going on in it. And while we probably won't go anywhere near that, we will stretch those same muscles that create that pose, right? And maybe at the end we'll do something similar, but not as intense, right? So when you're seeing those crazy poses, and I think I'm going to keep posting stuff like that. So if you're curious and you're not already following anydayyoga.com on Facebook, maybe take a peek over there, because I'm going to post these like rather intense looking poses that when you break them down are not as impossible as they seem. And it doesn't necessarily mean you'll ever be in that pose, but the same muscles are going to get worked, and maybe someday it's more accessible, even if it's never you never get that particular pose. So that's kind of our focus for today. Remember to just listen to your body. And as long as you're feeling those muscles stretch, it doesn't matter what it ends up looking like, right? So in your head, you're in those same poses. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start seated because we are working into our hamstrings. If a block makes things more accessible for you, certainly prop with a block. Fixing stuff is all occupied. All right. So yeah, this light isn't working either, is it? Go back to normal. Anyway, so come to a comfortable seat. Making sure that your foundation is upright, right? So the pelvis is upright. And then engaging the belly, we want to sit nice and tall here. Try and relax into your shoulders, relax into your hips. Go ahead and close your eyes. Taking just a moment to become present. Being aware of what your body will and will not do this morning. Okay. And that, of course, may change as we move through class, but it is what it is for now, and let it be. Get very excited about our expectations sometimes, so try and let that go. Finding our breath. And remember that when things do get challenging, that sometimes just breathing and paying more attention to our breath in that place, in that moment, might make that tough spot a little bit less difficult. Not easy necessarily, right? But less difficult. So sitting with this full breath, present mind, and then keeping that no matter where the body ends up going. We'll add in movement here, extending the arms out to the sides with your inhale, stretching them up, and then bringing them back down again. Let's do it again. Once more like that. And then back to the top, inhale. Exhaling the right hand back to the mat. Let's take a tip. Nice big breath here. Really open up the side of your body, the left side of your body, without squishing the right. And then coming back to center and switching it over to the left. Same idea, nice big breath. Coming back up to the middle. One more time on each side, moving a little bit deeper into the stretch. So finding that space and length. Taking a big breath here. And then coming back to center on the inhale. Last time over to the second side. Coming back up to the top, inhale. And we'll exhale and release. So let's take a little twist here, bringing the right hand to the left knee and the left hand behind the back. Give yourself a gentle, easy twist to begin. And remember last week when we focused on the pelvis and the length and the evenness in the spine here? Keep those ideas. And then we'll release, coming back through the center over to the second side. Let's come back through the center. We'll take the first side again, working a little bit deeper into this one, of course, as always, using the arms a little more, maybe. And then back through the center again, take your second side again into this little bit deeper, more intense twist. Let's come on back to the middle. We're going to interlace our fingers behind the lower back here. Draw the shoulder blades together on the chest and lift your chest up toward the ceiling. Knuckles reaching toward the floor behind us a little bit here, so the chest is nice and open. Keep that idea and hinge forward from the hips. So you may or may not be able to hinge forward very much, and your knuckles might still be on the floor, or maybe they're just reaching away from the shoulders at this point. You can lift them up off of your lower back a bit here if that's you. But just work to keep the chest open. The hands don't matter quite as much. We'll take one more nice big breath. With the next inhale, we're coming back up to a neutral place. Before you release your fingers, think about which thumb is on top back there. It's an automatic thing so often that we forget, right? So then releasing the fingers, we're going to switch which foot we put in front. Too much for my mouth right now, right? So sitting in this more awkward position, if you do find that this is really weird and you can't sit comfortably here, every now and again, maybe once during your normal classes, sit with the other foot in front, right? Just to kind of give the mind a little bit more flexibility and, of course, your body, right? So same idea with the hands, we're going to interlace but have the other thumb on top, which also feels a little awkward. Okay? So every now and again, switching it up. Draw the shoulder blades together, reach the knuckles away, and then hinge forward here. Does it feel different, and how? Let's take one more nice big breath here. And then inhale to come back up to neutral. And then use the fingers, maybe move your shoulders a little bit. Sometimes they get a little stuck feeling, right? Extend the legs out long. Feet flex as if we were standing up, right? So soft little bend in your knees. If you tend to hyperextend here, just watch that you have a gentle bend in the knees, especially if you're up on a block or something like that. It's really easy to hyperextend, and we want to watch that. So keep the belly in, shoulders down and back. Even as you reach the arms up, try not to let your shoulders eat your ears. And we're going to hinge forward, gentle fold here. So wherever the hinge stops, let your hands fall. And you touch what you touch. Remember not to reach for anything. And like in gym class when we were 7 or whatever, right? Isn't it called touch your toe? We're going to take one more nice big breath here. And then we'll hinge back up again. And release the arms. So let's come around onto hands and knees. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, find that nice even foundation here with your hands, knees under the hip bones. And then just moving in through cat-cows, inhale the belly low. And exhale to round the spine toward the ceiling. Connected to the breath, let's float in and out like that. Once more in each direction, as deep as your body is allowing you to for this moment. And then we're going to find a middle. So a nice neutral spine, shoulders are even on the back here. From there, hands forward or knees back, however it happens for you, make your way into kneeling plank. So remember to keep the head, shoulders, hips, and knees in the same plane, right? If things start sagging or sticking up a little bit, find that middle. And if you have a mirror that you can look in and just kind of check yourself every now and again, that's a good thing, right? So we don't develop bad habits. Let's go ahead and take the right foot over to the right side of the mat, and we're going to open the body to the left. So on the right hand, right knee with the left toes at the back of the mat in this nice straight line. And here you have your side plank. Anytime we move into side planks, you're welcome to be in this modified position, making sure the belly's in. You can always extend the left arm if that's something that your body wants to do. Feeling even on the four corners of that right hand. And then we're going to release that, come over into the kneeling plank again. Finding the middle, finding your center, and then switching sides here. So the left foot is over to the left and the body opens to the right. So take your time, right? Adjusting anything that doesn't immediately fall into line, right? And then adding on or not adding on. And then let's release that, coming back to center again. From the knees here, belly in, elbows in, tight to the sides. Let's drop on down to the belly. Hands next to the side ribs, and just roll into your shoulders a little bit to start here. So roll them up by the ears, together on your back, down toward your hip bones, and release. Inhaling as you roll up, and exhaling to come back down again. Taking just a few of those, rotating in through the shoulders here, using the chest and back rather than the arms. Once more, and then we're just going to rest on the floor for a breath or two, maybe. So we want to make sure that the forearms are vertical, the elbows are in tight toward the sides of the body. And then press into your knees just enough to barely lift your belly up off the floor. It might not actually even leave, but you feel the muscles draw up, right? And then press into the hands so the body lifts in one unit back into our kneeling plank. And then we'll set back into a child's pose. Stretching the arms out, maybe your shoulders, maybe your spine a little bit deeper here. And then grounding into the four corners again. If you sort of let them relax in your child's pose, it's totally fine. We're going to make our way up into down dog. And of course, as always in this first down dog, just let yourself move and stretch. Take the time, wiggle. And then eventually allow yourself to kind of settle into it here. From down dog, we're going to shift forward into plank. So remember, your hands and feet should be equally far apart in your plank and down dog. So it's just a sliding the hips and shoulders forward, right? So belly in, shoulders neutral on the back, holding in this position here. And then lift back to your down dog. From here, instead of sinking your heels toward the floor, go ahead and come up on the toes and drop your heels over to the right. For right now, keep your left hand planted and the hips nice and high. And then go ahead and bring the hips down and your left hand to your hip. So we're moving into this full side plank. Remember that right knee can always drop to the floor. And then let's come back to down dog. And we'll work the second side here. So come up on the toes. Let the heels drop left, keeping the right hand on the mat. And then letting the hips come down, bringing the right hand to the hip. Full side plank on this side, or modifying to the knees down variation. Breathe, make sure your belly is working. And then let's come on back to our down dog again. So let's go ahead and now bring the left foot between the hands, lunging. We're going to have the right knee on the mat for now. And then just allow yourself to kind of wiggle around into your hips a little bit. So then finding a center, right, knee and ankle alignment, pulling the legs toward each other up underneath the body. Let's take the left leg straight. Shoulders are back. Spine is tall. And you're feeling hamstring, of course. And then we'll bend back into the knee. Still keeping that idea of drawing the legs toward each other, belly's working here. Bringing the left hand to the hip, let's add in a little twist. Rotating around. Release the twist. Taking the leg straight again and finding a little bit deeper hamstring stretch if you're ready for that. Remember, you can flex the toes of the left foot toward the ceiling. Maybe press down a little bit more into that left heel, feeling that variation. And just remember a soft little bend into the knee so we don't hyperextend. And then again here, let's go ahead and bend back to the knee. Keep the hips nice and square. You can stay low if that's you. Climb up on the thigh maybe. And the more you lift the upper body, the more you're going to feel the stretch in the right hip flexor and quad here. The hands can stay on the thigh or reach toward the ceiling. Let's release that. We're going to lift the back knee. Take the hands, walk them around into the center of a straddle. So feet wider or more narrow, you decide if you need to make some adjustments. Make sure your toes point toward each other. And you can have a little bend in your knees here. We're going to just hang for a moment. So if you want to grab opposite elbows, certainly do. Let your shoulders rest forward. Let your head rest toward the floor. And then take your hands and walk them around toward your right foot. I'm going to turn back toward the front of my mat, but you don't have to do all that. Walking the hands around toward your right foot. Go ahead and drop the left knee to the floor. And then the same idea here, just kind of let your hips wiggle around a little bit. And then find a center. So again here, kind of pulling your legs toward each other so the hips are nice and square. When you're ready for it, go ahead and take that right leg straight. So the same idea on our second side. Finding the stretch. Stay connected to the breath. And then bending back into the knee, let the hips come forward, but keep them stable. Lengthen your spine, bring the right hand to the hip, and we'll twist on our second side. Let's release the twist. Take the right leg straight again and find that little bit deeper stretch. Remember, you can add in here by flexing the foot, pressing the heel. And when you press into the heel, if you sort of drag the leg back, feel that it'll square up your hips too, but it also intensifies the stretch. So give it a go. And then bend back into the knee. Staying nice and square here. Again, choosing to leave the fingertips on the floor or climb up on the thigh. And or lifting, not or so much, right? Lifting the chest to make that a little bit more intense. Extending the arms if you want to extend the arms. So let's think about the arms a little bit. See if you can rest your shoulders down and back. Place. And then imagine drawing the arm bones in line with your ears. So you can maybe gently look up, but check in that your arms are in line with your ears. Let's take one more nice big breath. We're going to release the hands. Lifting the back knee, walk yourself back around into your straddle again. And adjust your toes. Too wide or too narrow, make the proper adjustments for you. Check in that your toes are pointing forward. You're feeling nice and even on the four corners of your feet. And then taking the index and middle fingers, we're going to wrap them around the big toes. Bend the elbows out to the side. So the shoulders are drawing together on the back a bit here. And we're going to pull against the toes and draw a little deeper into the stretch. So then release your toes. Taking the fingers again here to interlace behind the lower back, drawing the shoulder blades toward each other on the back and then stretching the knuckles away like we did earlier. So maybe it's straight down your back, maybe they lift away, but keep the shoulder, the hands moving away from the shoulders. So the shoulders stay away from the ears. And then draw your shoulder blades closer together. Stretch your hands further away. Draw your shoulder blades a little closer together. Stretch your hands a little further away. Can you make another adjustment or two like that? We'll take one more breath here. And then release the hands. We'll walk those hands around toward the left foot, lunging back toward the top of the mat, and then stepping it back into our down dog again. Let's shift forward, coming to plank. From the knees, of course, if you still want to be on your knees, we're going to drop on down to the belly again. Hands next to the side ribs. Go ahead and roll into your shoulders. This time hold. Maybe pull with the hands, find a little bit more space. You can press into the hands and maybe come a little higher here if that's you. Keep the elbows in, the shoulders down and back. Make sure you're breathing and your lower back is nice and long here, right? Let's release that. Pressing into the knees just enough to barely lift the belly. Pressing into the hands, everything lifts off the floor together. We'll sit back in child's pose again. From child's pose back to down dog. Let's go ahead and step the right foot forward this time. And you definitely can drop the back knee again here if you feel more comfortable with that. Sweep the legs toward each other up underneath the body. Climb up on the back here. So pressing away, bringing your upper body as vertical as it can be. Press through the back heel so that leg is nice and long and you're feeling maybe a more intense stretch here. So if the knee must be bent, it can be bent, but see if you can be a little more straight. Hang on, or maybe take the fingers and interlace behind the back here. Shoulder blades pulling toward each other, knuckles reaching toward that back heel. So the same idea that we've had, just adding a little bit of a balance challenge to it. Maybe more intense. Releasing the fingertips, go ahead and drop the back heel. We're going to work into warrior two then. So check that you can see your right big toe. Maybe the feet are a little narrow or too wide. Making those adjustments as well. Extending the arms if and when you're ready for that. Feel nice and even on your feet here. Feel the opening in the inner hip. And then let's bring that left hand to the back of the left thigh. Right palm's going to turn toward the ceiling. We're reaching the right arm up, but the shoulders are going to be as if we were interlacing fingers. So draw them toward each other on the back. Imagine lifting your chest up. Arm in line with the ear. Right arm, of course. back to our warrior two. Release it over into lunge. Coming up on the back toes. Step it back, down dog. Shifting forward, we'll come to plank. And then drop down to the belly, knees if you like, of course. Hands next to the sides, roll, pull, maybe press, maybe coming up a little bit higher so the elbows are almost straight, but the shoulders are down and back. Release it. Everything up off the floor together, back to your down dog. And then let's switch sides. So bring the left foot forward. Toes to your fingers. Remember the right knee can drop to the floor if you need it. Sweeping the legs toward each other, climb on up. Come as upright as your body will allow with that right leg straight. Hang on. You can absolutely reach up or interlace the fingers again. Maybe maybe grab opposite elbow back there if you want a little different variation with the same theme. And then releasing the fingers, drop the back heel and open into warrior two. Check out your feet if you need to make adjustments. Definitely take the time. And then we'll bring the right hand to the back of the thigh, left palm rotating up, and then reaching toward the ceiling, but focusing on the shoulders. So they draw toward each other, the chest lifts. And then let's come back to our warrior two again. Releasing that, come over to lunge. And we'll step back to down dog. Shifting forward from the plank. Taking it down to the belly. Rolling into your cobra, you choose, of course, how deep to go here. And then releasing, making your way back to down dog. Let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees. Take a little mini break here. And then let's make our way back up into down dog. From down dog, we're going to bring the left knee to just behind the left wrist. And then drop the right knee to the floor and extend that leg long behind you there. You can have your back toes tucked under to kind of push that hip forward if that works for you. Or you can take the foot flat to the floor and press the top of the foot down into the mat. So play with that sensation. Watch what it does to your hips though. You can open the left knee more to the left and bring the toes toward the right hand. Maybe. And you can make these adjustments as you hold even. Staying up on the hands or dropping down to the forearms or all the way down forehead to the mat. And even as you do move into a little bit deeper position, feel free to shift and wiggle. If you found that your hips kind of rocked over to the left, bring them back to center, maybe by adjusting the left shin. It'll change what your hips will do. Play with that. And then bring yourself to your forearms if you're not there already. If you went all the way down, bring yourself up just a little bit. So we're going to add this little bit of weirdness in. Go ahead and take the right hand. I like palm up, and then I move my elbow away from my shin a little bit here and thread the right hand through. And you're going to reach the right hand over to the left until it's not going to go any further. You can absolutely drop the right shoulder to the floor and add in a little twist by pressing into the left hand, elbow up, shoulder back like we do, pressing down into the right forearm or even the upper arm, I suppose, right? It'll make you feel that stretch here. We normally do this just on hands and knees, so this is a little bit fussier. I'm going to take one more breath and then wiggle on out of that. Coming back to your hands and gently making your way back to down dog. So let's switch sides, bringing the right knee up and the left knee to the floor. Stretch the leg long. And then adjust the right shin, so maybe the knee out, maybe the toes forward, maybe neither of those things. Finding the squared hips. And then making your way down. If you're going down, you can stay up. Squeezing on the hands. And wherever you choose to be in this position, just see if your body will allow you to either move a little deeper or become a little bit more aligned. Where we start is not always where we end. So if you are all the way down, pop back up onto your forearms. And let's take that left hand palm up, kind of weaving it between the knee and the shin over here, the knee and the elbow. And then continuing to reach over to the right. Maybe the shoulder drops to the floor. You can press into the right hand and have your elbow pointing up toward the ceiling. Kind of play with the options, pushing against the floor underneath the body if that's you. And then we're going to make our way back up onto the hands and into our down dog. Let yourself wiggle and stretch and bounce around a little. And then we'll drop on back down to the knees and sit back in child's pose. So coming to sit up on the heels, we're going to bring the legs back around in front. So checking in that you're upright on the pelvis, your belly still engaged here. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. Hanging onto the ankles, draw the heels in toward the groin, lift your chest. And then using the elbows at the inner hips, pressing down to open them up a bit, and then maybe hinging forward a little bit here. So keep the shoulders down and back. Pressing into the inner hip rather than the knee. And then we're going to hinge back up again and extend the legs long. So making sure that you're upright on your pelvis, your belly's still working, your shoulders are down and back. Let's go ahead and hinge forward just enough to bring the hands to the outsides of the calves. If that, even that makes you round a little bit, maybe up closer, a little closer to the knee will work, right? Not on the knee, we don't want to press on joints. So flex your feet, and you're gonna imagine pressing the big toe forward, pulling the pinky toe side of your foot back. Feels really awkward and the toes are still pointing up at the ceiling. We're going to take the hands and press them into the outsides of the calves. Press your calves back into your hands. So imagine then grounding down into your hip bones and pushing back. From there, extend out the crown of your head and see if you can hinge a little bit deeper into the fold. So these things are really subtle. You might see a little bit of a change, but it's not going to be crazy. So then probably by the time you got to the crown of your head, you forgot about your feet or something went wrong, right? So then kind of refresh. Out the big toe, pull the pinky toe side back. Press more into your calves, press them back into your hands. Round into the sit bones, push those back, and extend out the crown of your head. And you tip a little deeper. Do that again. One more time. Forward with the big toe, back with the pinky. Press into the hands, or press into the legs, press back into the hands. Extend back through the sit bones, out through the crown of your head. Where does that fold go now? Take one more breath here. You're probably deeper than where we started, right? Let's hinge back up. Inhale. And release the arms. So go ahead and open your feet out into a straddle. And wherever you're feeling a little bit of a sensation is as wide as you need to be. Remember that we still want the pelvis to be upright. We still want the toes to be pointing toward the ceiling. So if they're too wide or too narrow, for all of that to happen, make the adjustments. And you can adjust even as we go. So we want to make sure that, again, that we're upright on that pelvis, adjusting manually if we need. Belly's in, sitting nice and tall. Let's reach the arms up. We're going to rotate around toward the left leg and fold over the leg. Let the hands come to either side. The right cheek might need to lift it up off the floor a little bit. Put it back down. And then you can use the left hand to sort of steer the body. So push into the floor and see if you can rotate your belly around toward the thigh a bit. So the shoulders are down and back. You're extended out the crown of your head. Let's inhale back up. Rotate to the right and do the same thing here. Let your hands come down on either side of the leg. Keep the left cheek this time grounded. Pressing into the right hand so we can rotate around a little deeper. And then we're going to inhale and come on back up to the middle again. Releasing the arms. Let's take the left hand and pin it underneath the right thigh. The right arm is going to reach up. We're going to hinge over to the left here, elbow to the inner thigh. You can take it to the floor if you can take it to the floor. So draw the arm in line with the ear here. And then the more you press the elbow into the thigh, the more you can rotate your belly toward the ceiling. How far away are those left toes? Don't reach for it. Don't just collapse over and find your toe. That's not it. Right? But in that place, how far away? Really far, not too far. Maybe someday, maybe never. Let's take another big breath. We're going to come back up to the top again. And then switch sides. So the right hand up underneath the left eye. Reaching up and hinging over. Keeping the pelvis rooted, the spine really tall, maybe the elbow more to the inner thigh, maybe all the way to the floor. So if it makes you collapse into the center to bring your elbow to the floor, don't worry about the floor so much, right? We want to stay open. So we're pressing against the inner thigh here, rotating the belly toward the ceiling, keeping this arm alongside the ear, again, so we don't sort of collapse forward just to find our toe. Nice and open, feel a big stretch, and just kind of recognize where you are. It doesn't mean anything. Okay? Let's take one more breath here. And then we're going to come on up to center again. And release the hands to the mid. So find that length. Hinge straight forward here. So you can always prop up if you need. This is another place to watch that the knees don't hyperextend. The shoulders stay back. So then the same little muscular tricks that we used before, well, not the same, but similar. Pushing out through the big toe knuckle. And imagine extending the legs away from the body. Now, again, you don't want to hyperextend here. But if you imagine extending away, maybe you can actually open and deepen. Or maybe the sensation is just not quite as intense and you can go a little deeper. We'll see, right? So just kind of playing with that idea, finding space in the hip joint. Take one more breath. And then let's gently make our way back up again. Sitting tall here, we'll bring the legs back together. And then wiggle them around a bit. You got time for it. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and do whatever makes you comfortable with this left leg. So you can have it extended out. You can bring it in a little bit. Whatever with the leg, but the pelvis stays upright. So go ahead and grab onto your right foot and lift it. So from here, pull back on your foot and bring your knee in towards your armpit. Right? So pull in and then press away. And pull in and press away. And as you're pulling in, see how far you can get your knee behind your shoulder. And again, this is just one of those things that we're seeing what the body can do or what it doesn't do. So one more time, pull that foot back as far as it will go. And then take your right arm underneath the leg here. So it's kind of resting on it. And if this is good, this is good. You don't have to get any fancier. But see if you can maybe wiggle enough that you can adjust your knee behind your shoulder. Hi. And you might be able to get it all the way back there and maybe not so much, but a little bit deeper than you were before. And again, you can sort of wiggle around, right? Take your left hand and grab the outside of your foot. Take your right hand and bring it right as close to your sit bone as you can get it. And then see if you press your hamstring into your tricep, maybe you can take your legs straight. Maybe. Take one more breath wherever you are. And then undo. Releasing that leg out long and wiggling around. So now that you were thinking about that person in that side plank in that picture that I posted, but if you think about it now, could you see that from there? So let's do the second side. Grab onto your left foot, lift it up. And then that same idea, kind of pumping the knee behind the shoulder. So take just a couple more like that. Draw that knee back there as far as it'll go. And then hold it in there. Take the left arm underneath the leg so it's kind of hanging on. Right? And see if you can wiggle the shoulder more behind the knee here. Sometimes one side is a little different than the other. So you wiggle around, you see, oh, that's not too bad. You wiggle around a little bit more. Yeah, maybe that's not too bad. Right, so it gets where it gets. The right hand reaches for the outside of the foot. Left hand right next to the sit bone as close as you can get it. And then you press the thigh into the tricep and you take the leg straighter. Maybe. And one side again, could be different. Take another big breath. And then release it. Take your legs out long. Flop your knees, your feet, your shoulders. So again, all those pieces add up, and sometimes they add up into those crazy poses, and sometimes you just feel the stretch in all of those places. It's the same. It doesn't look the same, but it's the same to your body. So take your feet flat to the floor, hang on to your hamstrings, and roll on down. Knees hug to the chest, let yourself rock. Massage your back against the mat. Taking the feet flat to the floor. Open the arms out into a T position here. And we're just going to let the legs fall to the right. You can, of course, adjust and take variations on this twist. Take another big breath here. And then let's come back to center and let the knees fall to the left. And again, if you adjust it on the one side, try and take the same variation or as similar as you can on your second side. Let's take another nice deep breath here. And then we're going to come back to the middle again. And again here, drawing the knees back to the chest and rocking a little bit. Squeezing the knees in nice and tight. Pull your forehead towards your knees and round up into this tiny little ball. And then release that out into a nice big stretch. Fingertips to toes. Releasing that stretch, let the arms come back down by your sides. And take a moment to adjust so that the body feels aligned. Feeling comfortable here, so maybe the feet flat to the floor using a prop. And then release the muscles. So no more wiggling, fussing around, just let it be what it is. Letting the body rest into the mat. We'll bring our awareness back solely to the breath. The body is done for now, so it's just about the breath. But don't even control that. Let all of that go. And keep the mind here so that if it wanders away, you just gently bring it back. Giving yourself this moment of simple rest. Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath, and then let that go. Allow your body to move, wiggle, stretch. And when you're ready, allow the feet to come flat. slowly make your way back to seated. Sitting well. And bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. So hopefully you enjoyed that, whether you got wherever, right? Remember, it's all about the sensation in your body, not about what the end result is. Right? Enjoy your weekend. It's looking pretty nice out there. Birds on the screen. And if you do, have an extra day off, just take some time to reflect and be present. Whatever, however you get your yoga buzz, right? We've got our summer virtual retreat coming up in 3 weeks, which I'm excited about. So if you haven't already, be sure to holler at me and let me know that you're interested in attending, or visit the website. It's there as well. It's anydayyoga.com. For those of you who remember. And that's all I got. Have a great day, you guys. Thanks for playing. Bye.